Objective 4. Describe the meaning of and, or. When and is used with two categories, this means to consider the observations that the categories have in common. We also refer that to as intersection. For example, the category of females and business majors would be the category of female business majors. So if we take a look, let's say that this circle here on the left are all the females, and the circle here on the right is business majors. Now, everywhere in between would be females and business majors because they're females and they're business majors. And you can see here, that would be where they intersect. Now, the definition when or is used with two categories, this means to consider the observations in the categories all together. So that means you're going to combine them all. So the category of females or business majors would be the category of all females together with all business majors. So let's take a look at an example. The dates of May 2008 are shown in the table below. We want to find all dates that fall in the given category. So for part A, we want to find Wednesdays or the second week. So what we do is, you see here's Wednesday. We're going to go ahead and draw this blue line that represents all the days in Wednesday. And then the second week of the month is now, it's in purple. So when we use the or statement, that means they're all going to be included. So we have, for the Wednesdays, we have 7, 14, 21, 29. And then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now we only need to include the 7 once because we've already included it. But all of them together would then be referred to the or statement here. Now Saturdays and the third week. So we're going to go ahead and draw a line through Saturday and the third week. Now this is and, so this is where they intersect. So the and tells us that the only number that's being intersected here for Saturdays and in the third week is the 17th. Let's go to part C. Fridays and the fourth week. So we're going to go ahead and draw a line through the Fridays and then draw a line through the fourth week. Now again, and is where they intersect. So they intersect at the 23rd because that is a Friday and the fourth week. So there's 23. Part D, Sundays or the first week. So we're going to draw a line through Sunday and then also a line through the first week. Now remember, or means all. So Sundays have 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. And the first week has 1, 2, and 3. Next, in part E, it says Mondays and the first week. So we're going to draw a line through Mondays and then through the first week. Now if you notice here, in this particular month, there's no number there. And because there's no number, we call that the empty set. So there's actually no solution in this scenario. We call it the empty set. For part F, Thursdays or the second week. So we're going to go ahead and draw a line through Thursdays and then draw a line through the second week. Now again, this is or, so we're going to include all of them. We're combining all of them. So for Thursdays, we have 1, 8, 15, 22, 29. And then through the second week, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10. And we do not have to include 8 again because we've already included it for the Thursdays. Part G, Tuesdays or the first week. We're going to draw a line through Tuesdays and then draw a line through the first week. Now again, this is an or statement, so that means we have to include all of them. So for Tuesdays, we have 6, 13, 20, and 27. And then for the first week, we have 1, 2, and 3. And for part H, Tuesdays and the first week. So we're going to go ahead and draw a line through Tuesday and also a line through the first week. Now, because it's and, it's where they're intersecting. And where they intersect, there's no number there for that particular month. So that is the empty set. Okay, an example. The author of our textbook surveyed one of his statistics classes about favorite music genres. Here are students' responses. We had other R&B, hip-hop, and so on. So here are the students' responses. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to figure out what is the total responses here. So when we add up the total, okay, the total amount of responses are 20. So we need to know what the total is. Now we want to construct a frequency and a relative frequency distribution. So for the genre of other, we notice that there are 4 others for the frequency. For rap, we see that there are 2 for the frequency. For hip hop, we have 8 listed there. For R&B, we have 2. For electronic, we have 2. And for country, we have 2. So when we add up the total frequency, we get 20. Now the relative frequency is taking the frequency and dividing it by the total. So 4 divided by 20 gives us a proportion of 0.20, which as a percentage is 20%. For rap, it's 2 over 20, which gives us a proportion of 0.10, which is 10%. For hip hop, it's 8 over 20, which is equal to 0.40, which is 40%. For R&B, it's 2 over 20, which is equal to 0.10, which is equal to 10%. For electronic and country, it is the same, 2 over 20 and 2 over 20, which is also 10% for each. Now we're going to answer questions according to this distribution. So for part B, it says, what proportion of students prefer electronic music? Well, for electronic music, remember that relative frequency is the proportion. And the proportion here is 0.10. So it's 0.10. What proportion of students do not prefer electronic music? Well, in order to find that, we know that the entire frequency, or the total relative frequency, is 1. So we're going to take 1 and then subtract 0.10 that represents the electronic. So that tells us that 0.90 represents students who do not prefer electronic music. For part D, it says, what proportion of students prefer hip-hop or rap? Now remember, the or statement means that you combine them together. So for hip-hop, we know that the proportion is 0.40. For rap, we know the proportion is 0.10. So if we combine them by adding them together, we know that the proportion of those students that prefer hip-hop or rap is 0.50. Or we can say that's 50%. Next is, what proportion of students prefer country music? Well, again, the proportion here is 0.10, so 0.10. And then for part F, it says, what proportion of students do not prefer R&B? So we go back and look at R&B, and we see that the proportion is 0.10. So we're going to take 1 and subtract 0.10, and that tells us that 0.9 students do not prefer R&B. For part G, it says, what proportion of students prefer country or electronic music? Now remember, this is an or statement, which means they're both added together. It's all together. So if we take a look at the country and electronic proportions, 0.10 and 0.10 up here, we take them and add them together. So 0.10 plus 0.10 gives us 0.20.